Welcome to the Hospital Finance Podcast, your go-to source for information and insights that can help you stay ahead of the challenges impacting healthcare finance. And now, the host of the Hospital Finance Podcast, Michael Passanante.
Hi, this is Mike Passanante, and welcome back to the Hospital Finance Podcast. In a recent study BESLER conducted around revenue cycle vulnerabilities and opportunities, revenue cycle leaders across the country noted that denials are their top revenue cycle challenge. We've covered that a bit in the past here on the podcast, but to dive into specific denial management strategies, I'm joined by Olga Barone-Allan, who is the Senior Manager of Onboarding and Delivery here at BESLER. Olga, welcome to the program.
Mike, thank you for inviting me.
So, Olga, denials is something that stretches across a hospital finance organization. Why don't you start out by telling us who has specific responsibility for denials? Who actually owns it?
So, it's always been Patient Financial Services. PFS always, had to handle the denials. But historically, it was really siloed into patient accounting, and it was very frustrating for the staff because there was, denials are stemmed by the repercussion of a claim. So it starts from the beginning. And as time has gone on, there has been somewhat of an evolution of who owns it and who oversees it and who needs to get involved. So it's been interesting over the years to see it evolve into what it's gearing towards for the future.
So who ideally should be involved in a denial management strategy at the hospital?
So what we've seen more and more, which is the ideal situation, is that patient financial services definitely has to be the spearhead of managing and tracking denial management, but also the various departments, specifically, physicians, the clinical areas, case management, utilization management, patient access, contract management, all need to work hand in hand with patient financial services to make the denial management process work successfully at any provider facility.
So, Olga, talk to us about some of the common denials that providers might face and perhaps any strategies that you would like to talk about to help avoid some of those specific denials.
That is perfect, Mike, to go into some of the categories because, over the years, they seem to be, you can speak to any director or anyone in patient accounting or patient financial services. The themes are the same. The names of the denial categories are the same. Not medically necessary, no authorization, not eligible, lack of documentation, timely filing, lower level of care, diagnosis doesn't match the age or the sex of the patient, duplicate billing, billing error. So the themes are the same, it's a cross payer. So it's the same common bucket of denials that, each facility is dealing with and struggles with throughout the years.
Yeah, it seems like denials are just sort of there now. They just happen almost routinely, particularly with certain payers that hospitals have to deal with. And it's something that they have to kind of continuously go back and revisit and spend resources on. Is there a strategy or a way that they can kind of circle the wagons and spend less resources on denials that are more common or specific to a certain payer?
And that is the key, is when you're tracking and monitoring the denials and collaborating with the various departments, the key focus should be in improving the process, trying to get the bill before it leaves the facility, before it's billed, to make sure that all these edits or coding or additional documentation, if you know that a document is it's the standard denial is going to take place when the claim is processed for additional information. Have it build initially with the documentations attached to the claim, or if it's lack of lower level of care, make sure those types of claims are reviewed. There's a scrubber in your mainframe or in your billing system to flag them and to prevent the bills from going out before they go to the payer. So to being proactive and meeting with the departments, making sure that eligibilities are being verified. Medical necessity, if there's a ABN, advanced beneficiary notice on file signed by the patient, making sure that the service is covered. That will help decrease the denial days and that duplication of productivity or of time where the employee has to now double work or appeal the claim and rework that claim. It takes time, and a lot of times, providers tend to, because they don't have the resource and the budget, tend to write off these denials, and there could be good money sitting there for, that could be reimbursed and, collected.
And we talked about this a little bit before the podcast, Olga, and the idea that a denial might happen. Sometimes they sit until you can get back to them because there's just things involved that require staff time, and staff are busy. In your experience, are there any strategies or other things that hospitals could be doing to accelerate that time to pay gap and try to improve their cash flow by bringing in the money sooner from denials that they might get overturned?
Great question, Mike. Denials really do increase your AR days and your age trial balance. Unfortunately, the time, even though you have different workflows, bolt-on systems or even internal mainframe workflows, to get to a denial, the amount of effort, most facilities do outsource their denial process or denial management accounts because they just don't have the time. I would say the proactive approach in reviewing your unbilled, your DNFB, creating scrubbers within your mainframe in addition to your billing scrubber are definitely key. Working your return on to provider, RTP and Medicare suspense is so crucial, working that regularly, and also working your provider edits on a regular basis. To see what is getting stuck in those categories, and then going back to the table to your various departments, your physicians, your case management, patient access, and sitting with them and showing them the value of the dollars that are hitting these categories, and then together with them trying to strategize how to prevent them going forward.
Olga, when you think about denial management strategy, are there certain terms that providers should be looking for when they're considering their denial management strategies?
Absolutely, and I'll mention them briefly, but there's more on the blog that you can see more of the definition of what they overall mean and what can be done to help prevent them. But additional development requests, ADR, a CERT, comprehensive error rate testing is another form of denial. LCD, which is a local coverage determination. Those NDC, national coverage determination. These are terms in the denial management world that most payers, Medicare specifically, have built, modules that you can go into the Medicare or CMS to take a look at whether those charges are covered or if that service is covered, and to prevent and to prevent a denial from, being posted and not collecting right up front. These are things that can be incorporated when the patient comes in at the time of, verifying services and scheduling, and it helps at, reimbursement collection occur faster.
It's great information, Olga, and certainly we've only just scratched the surface here of denial management strategies, because they are many and complex, and this is certainly a tough issue for hospitals to deal with. As Olga mentioned, there is some more information available up on the blog associated with this podcast. If you'd like to take a look, you can go to BESLER.com/insights and just look for the revenue cycle button, and you can click on that and you'll find this and a lot more. Olga, thanks so much for joining us today on the podcast.
Thank you, Mike, for inviting me.
This concludes today's episode of the Hospital Finance Podcast. For show notes and additional resources to help you protect and enhance revenue at your hospital, visit BESLER.com/podcasts. The Hospital Finance Podcast is a production of BESLER. Smart about revenue, tenacious about results.